Yes, I'd like to welcome all of you. We will wait for a minute or two before we start. I'll start by offering prayers. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjanashalaakaya Chakshuram Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupan Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunata Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhishcha Kripa Sindhubhyev Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Rama Ramo Hare Hare Pujantam Rama Rameti Maduram Maduraksharam Aruya Kavita Shaka Mande Valmiki Kokilam Valmiki Muni Simhasya Kavita Unicharana Shunma Rama Katanadam Komayanti Parandati Hare Krishna. I'd like to welcome all of you for the second session on the Ramayana. And today's session is going to be titled as Finding Ramayana in Me. Now, when I chose a title like that, you might be wondering why did I choose something like that as a title? At the end of today's session, you really realize what it really means. Because every aspect of the Ramayana has a very deep connection to our own lives. I'm going to take a few very interesting episodes in the Ramayana and see how these episodes are directly connected to our life. And that's what today's session is going to be all about. Um, the Ramayana has many lofty characters, like the character of Lakshman, the character of Hanumanji, the character of Bharat. When we come across these exalted characters, one thought that comes into our mind is, will I ever reach that state? Will I ever reach there? They seem to be so high up there. To help us understand this, today's session is specifically um, created. The sun is compared to knowledge. Many places in the scriptures, the sun is compared to knowledge. And knowledge is of two types. There is something known as Siddha Gyan. Siddha Gyan essentially means knowledge that is in an elevated personality. Exalted people are known as Siddhas. And the knowledge that they have is known as Siddha Gyan. The second type of knowledge is known as Sadhana Gyan. Sadhana Gyan essentially means knowledge that is cultivated, knowledge that is grown through the process of sadhana. That means you have struggled to access that knowledge, to have that knowledge, to develop that knowledge, to gain that knowledge. So there is a difference between sadhana gyan and siddha gyan. When I say that the sun is compared to knowledge, Surya is the sun. And there are two people who are descendants of Surya. Sugriv in the Ramayana is known as Surya Putra. He is an Ansh or an expansion of Surya. And the interesting thing is, in the Ramayana, we find Lord Ram takes birth in Surya Vansha. He is born in a dynasty of the solar kings. But the knowledge of Ram and the knowledge of Sugriv is not exactly the same. The knowledge of Ram is considered to be Siddha Gyan, perfected knowledge. And the knowledge of Sugriv is considered to be Sadhana Gyan, knowledge that is gained with efforts. Now, Sadhana Gyan has some difficulties with it, typically. Just like the sun has some good qualities, but it also has some shortcomings. The sun gives light, it dispels darkness, but still the sun has some shortcomings. Sometimes, when the sun is covered by clouds, it doesn't give light. And sometimes the sun is so scorching hot that it burns away everything. These are the characteristics of sadhana gyan also. So when the sun of knowledge rises in the life of a sadhaka, of a practicing devotee like all of us, then that knowledge is known as sadhana gyan. Now, just like the sun gets covered by clouds, so the sun appears. Sometimes, when the cloud comes in front of the sun, it disappears. Similarly, sadhana gyan, it usually appears, but sometimes sadhana gyan is covered over by clouds of bad association. And when bad association comes in front of sadhana gyan, the idea is that knowledge gets destroyed. So that means when you are in bad association, no matter how much knowledge you have, somehow the knowledge gets covered over and you can't see clearly. You can't understand things clearly. You're confused. The essence is that the sun has light. It has the ability to dispel darkness. But in presence of clouds, that ability of the sun goes missing. And this is the exact same problem with knowledge. Knowledge can help you clear a gyan or ignorance. But when you are in the bad association, clouds of lust come in front of your life. And when the clouds of lust come, your knowledge is covered over and you get bewildered. That's exactly what happened in Sugriv's life. Sugriv is a knowledgeable person. He is Surya Putra. But once in a while, when he falls in bad association of people like Vali and so many other people, it's like a cloud coming in front of his eyes. And no matter how knowledgeable he is, no matter how close he is to the sun, which is the source of knowledge, he still succumbs. The second problem with the sun is that the sun changes its form constantly. We don't see the same sun in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. The sun has different forms or different effects at different times of the day. Similarly, sadhana gyan also changes with changing times. So in the morning, our knowledge is very, very high because and we perform all kinds of good activities. And as the day progresses, our knowledge keeps decreasing and we perform all kinds of wrong activities. And by the time it is sunset, our level of knowledge is really low and the activities that we perform is really low. So that means just like the sun has high and lows, similarly in our life also we have highs and lows. We also have a high and low in accessing knowledge. So sometimes we act as if we are very knowledgeable people, and sometimes we act as if we are fools, highly ignorant people. The third problem with the sun is that the sun gives light, but it also gives heat. When knowledge is without pride, it gives light, it gives direction, it gives vision to the world. But when knowledge is filled with pride, with ahankar, abhiman, it gives more heat than light. Just like the sun, sometimes when it gives heat, which we like, and sometimes it gives heat, which we don't like. Who likes the summer sun? Nobody likes the summer sun, but everyone likes the winter sun. Similarly, like in astrology, there is a very interesting discussion about planets and its effects on us. It is explained that whenever there are higher planets in astrology, in your horoscope, then there is progress. And whenever there is lower planets, there is decline. So one astrological scholar was asked, what if the sun is high in the horoscope? Is it better to have sun high in the horoscope, or is it better to have sun low in the horoscope? And the answer that the astrologer gave was very interesting. It explained that when the sun is high in the horoscope, such a person can never gain popularity. And when the sun is low, that person will become very highly popular. Now, high of the sun is like summer season, maximum sun. And low of the sun is like winter season. During the month of Kartik, the sun comes low. So summer sun is very powerful, but people hate it. The winter sun is not so powerful, but people love it, which actually shows that somebody who has knowledge like the sun, but along with that great amount of knowledge, if he has great amount of pride, people hate such a person. But if a person has great amount of knowledge, but he does not have pride of that knowledge, people love such a person. And therefore, all of us should be aspiring to become knowledgeable. But along with knowledge, we should also try to become humble. We will come back to this point of Sugriva a little later and understand how Lord Ram analyzes the knowledge and abilities of Sugriva in a very interesting way. Before that, I would like to discuss something very, very interesting about the Ramayana, from the Ramayana. So here in the Ramayana, we find that one particular episode, which is extremely beautiful, is in the Ayodhya Kanda of the Ramayana, which talks about the banishment of Lord Ram, the exile of Lord Ram. And to understand that mood, the thought process behind the exile and how the whole thing is analyzed, I would like to take you all to through a little medical uh, situation. There are two types of diseases in this world. There are physical diseases and there are mental diseases. The difference between the two is that physical diseases spread, but physical diseases spread, the way they spread may differ from person to person. Mental diseases, they always spread the same way. Physical diseases, the symptoms are sometimes not even immediately connected. Like, for example, if somebody has fever, and if somebody else is next to a person who has fever, it is not necessary that that person gets fever. If somebody has tuberculosis, and somebody is next to a person who has tuberculosis, it's not necessary that that person will get tuberculosis. But if somebody has a mental disease and you stay next to the person who has a mental disease, even for a short duration of time, you catch it. And this is the power of mental diseases. Physical diseases are sometimes contagious and sometimes not contagious. But mental diseases are always contagious. Now, in today's situation, in the situation in which we are, where we are so much scared of physical disease, which is so contagious, it's very apt to discuss about mental diseases, which are even more contagious. The problem is that people don't realize how contagious mental diseases are. People don't realize how powerful and how fast mental diseases spread. Today, in the situation where we're talking about a physical disease that is spreading so fast, I'm going to be talking about a mental disease in Ayodhya that spread much faster. To help us understand this mental disease, let us begin the story from the beginning. The story is where there was one person in Manthara, in Ayodhya, who was mentally diseased. Everyone else in Ayodhya was clean, had no mental diseases. They had very pure consciousness. But there was only one person in Ayodhya who had a mental disease, and that was Mantra. And Mantra spent some time with Kaikeyi. When Mantra spent some time with Kaikeyi, about an hour or two, Kaikeyi got infected by the germs of Mantra, the germs of envy. It entered into Kaikeyi. And what is the proof that Kaikeyi got affected? The proof is that she entered into what is known as Kopa Bhavan. In the palaces of the past, there were different types of rooms, chambers, for different types of situations. If you want to laugh loudly, if you're in the mood of laughing, there is a room where you can go and laugh. The room is arranged in such a way that as soon as you enter the room, you feel like laughing. And then there are rooms which are known as sulking chambers, where if you are sad, as soon as you enter into the room, you feel like crying. The room is created in such a way, the ambience of the room is in such a way that you automatically feel like crying. So Kaikeyi, after she spent time with Manthara, she entered into the sulking chamber. She entered into what is known as Kopa Bhavan. And in Kopa Bhavan, she was completely distraught. And she had disheveled her hair, she had torn her clothes, she was in a total mess. She had thrown her jewelry here and there. So Dasharath Maharaj, the king of Ayodhya, he came to know that Kaikeyi has gone into the Kopa Bhavan. And naturally, he was worried. So he ran to the Kopa Bhavan to help Kaikeyi come out of her sadness. Dasharath didn't realize that when you are approaching a person who is mentally diseased, the first thing is that you have to know whether you are really prepared to help that person. Not everyone is equipped to help a person who is having a mental disease. Dasharath Maharaj was very confident. In fact, he was overconfident of himself. And he entered into Kopa Bhavan thinking that I will help her. The interesting thing is, technically, if you see, he should have sent the doctor. Who's the doctor in Ayodhya? The doctor who can help heal or deal with mental diseases in Ayodhya is Guru Vasishta. But Dasharath Maharaj was so confident that he thought, I will help her. And he entered into Kopa Bhavan and he started talking to Kaikeyi. And Kaikeyi was lying on the floor, completely in a mess. Dasharath Maharaj is standing and advising her, trying to help her. Dasharath Maharaj spent about half an hour in the sulking chamber with Kaikeyi. And in that half an hour of association, Dasharath Maharaj got infected by the germs of Kaikeyi. Till now, Manthara was sick mentally, then Kaikeyi became sick mentally, and then with the association of Kaikeyi, now Dasharath became sick mentally. And the proof that Dasharath became sick mentally was that in about half an hour's time, the whole role reversed. Now, Dasharath was lying on the floor and Kaikeyi was standing. When he entered, Dasharath was standing and Kaikeyi was lying down. Now Kaikeyi is standing and Dasharath is lying down. He is completely in a mess, crying, broken-hearted. He is bewildered. And now, the problem is, Dasharath is not an ordinary person. When an ordinary man gets sick, at max, he can make a family sick of 4 people. But when a leader gets sick, he can make an entire country sick. And therefore, Dasharath Maharaj, he became sick, contaminated by the mental disease. And the next day morning, by the next day morning, the entire Ayodhya was crying. Every single citizen in Ayodhya was affected by this mental disease. And everyone was crying, and everyone was heartbroken, and everyone was in great anxiety. The whole of Ayodhya affected. This is the power of one leader becoming affected by a mental disease. And now Vasishta realized that he is the only doctor available to cure thousands and thousands of people. And Vasishta realized it's not going to be possible for me to cure all these people. And therefore, Vasishta, he decided to call help from outside. Because if everyone is sick, how are sick people going to help each other? Especially people who are mental patients. who are mentally sick, they cannot help another person. Somebody who has a mental sickness, what they need is not advice. What they need is hope. And therefore, Vashishta, he did not take help of anyone inside because everyone inside Ayodhya had lost hope. And therefore, he called somebody from outside Ayodhya. So when the whole of Ayodhya fell sick, the result of that sickness of the whole of Ayodhya falling mentally sick, the result was that two people walked out of Ayodhya, Sita and Ram. Sita represents peace and Ram represents God. Two people walk out of your life when you're mentally sick. You lose peace and you lose faith in God. And therefore, Vashishta, when he realized that everybody in Ayodhya is sick, he needs help. And therefore, he called Bharat, who was outside of Ayodhya in Kaikaya Desh. And he called Bharat and asked Bharat to come and help him cure the sickness of thousands of people. When Bharat came in and he saw the whole of Ayodhya is frustrated, mentally sick, he was very honest. He was not overconfident like Dasharath Maharaj. He didn't say, I can cure everyone. What he said, so many people sick mentally, I don't have the capacity to cure all of them. There is only one person who can cure all of them, and that is Lord Ram. And Bharat said, I will take everyone to Lord Ram. Bharat is like a preacher. A good preacher is one when he sees that thousands of people are sick, thousands of people are diseased. The preacher is not overconfident thinking that I will cure everybody. I will take everybody, I will help everybody become perfect. But the preacher is not proud of his own abilities. A good preacher, a humble preacher thinks that I don't have the capacity to help all of them. So therefore, what Bharat thought, there's only one person who can cure all of them, and that is Lord Ram. What I should do is I'll make an arrangement to take all of them to Chitrakoot. And Bharat took all the residents of Ayodhya to Chitrakoot, all the sick people to Chitrakoot. And as soon as all the residents of Ayodhya saw Lord Ram in Chitrakoot, as soon as they had the first glance of Lord Ram, all of their mental sickness just vanished. And this is the power of the presence of the Lord in our lives. And this is the greatness of people like Bharat Maharaj, who could cure the entire city of the mental disease. At this point, I would like to talk about one very, very interesting character in the Ramayana. And through that character, as I said, this whole discussion is about finding Ramayana in me. So we're talking about how in every character and every situation of the Ramayana, we can find our own life being revealed over there. We can find our own truths being revealed over there. Our own struggles being revealed over there. So when Hanumanji went to Lanka, he met Vibhishan. And he was very surprised that Vibhishan, though he was in the middle of Lanka, and though he was the brother of Ravan, he still was a devotee. He still had faith in God. He still worshipped God in his personal capacity. The problem with Vibhishan is living a double life. Vibhishan is like all of us. We're all living double lives. On one level, we are a devotee externally. But on another level, we are still very far away from being a devotee. This double life in a sadhaka's life, this double life in a devotee's life is represented in Lanka in three forms. The three brothers, Ravan, Vibhishan and Kumbhakarna, represent the three lives that all of us live. All of us live three lives. The first life is Ravan. Ravan is the awake form of all of us, who creates havoc when awake. Kumbhakarna creates havoc when he's awake, but he's mostly asleep. He's mostly inactive. And Vibhishan is in between. He's trying to do his japa. He's trying to do his puja. He's trying to do his worship. Similarly, all of us are divided into three parts. These are three tendencies in us that are in conflict with each other. We behave in one way when we are awake, we behave in one way when we are asleep, and we behave in one way when we are in semi sleep, which is the dreaming state. Ravan represents when we are awake, Kumbhakarna represents when we are in deep sleep, and Vibhishan represents the situation when we are half asleep. That means we are dreaming. So Ravan, so in each of us, we have Ravan, Vibhishan, and Kumbhakarna. When the Ravan awakens in us, we misuse the awakened time. The inner Kumbhakarna misuses the sleeping time, and the inner Vibhishan misuses the dreaming time. So let us try to understand what these three states are and what these three personalities mean in our life. Vibhishan is a devotee, is a sadhaka, is a devotee like all of us who are trying to do some spiritual practice. Ideally, spiritual practices should be done when we are fully awake. But Vibhishan does his practice in sleep. Now, it's not that he physically does his practice in sleep. That sleep state or that dream state is a very interesting state that the acharyas speak about. There is a problem with dreams. Sometimes the dreams are good, and sometimes the dreams are bad. Sometimes we get nightmares. We can't control our dreams. So, similarly, our sadhana is also like dreams only. Sometimes we do sadhana very nicely, and sometimes we do sadhana in a very bad way. We don't have any control over it, it seems. So the problem with Vibhishan is that as long as Vibhishan is living between Ravan and Kumbhakarna, as long as Vibhishan is living under the governance of Ravan and Kumbhakarna, he can never practice sadhana properly. He can never practice sadhana in the way he should. Ravan represents illusion, moha, and Kumbhakarna represents ahankar or pride. As long as we are living between illusion and pride, we can never be good devotees. The problem with Vibhishan is that he lives a compromised life. He lives with compromises with Ravan. He thinks that Ravan is torturing the whole world. He's torturing everybody else. But he's not torturing me. He's allowing me to do my devotion. So because he's tolerant towards me, let me be tolerant towards him. So the nature of compromise is that usually we tend to compromise with people who we are scared of, whom we don't want to face. So Vibhishan is like all of us. The tendency of a materialist, the tendency of a devotee who has material desires is that we tend to live a life of compromise. What is the meaning of living a life of compromise? It essentially means that we don't mind if we are in between illusion and pride, but as long as we are practicing our devotion. Ideally, compromising is not really a great idea. In fact, great devotees never compromise. In fact, not just great devotees, anyone who has focus in life doesn't compromise. Like, for example, a soldier who's fighting a war on the borders. Imagine if a soldier decides to compromise. How much will he lose? And how much will the country suffer if he decides to compromise? A citizen who is living inside the country, who is living in peaceful situations, he may think, let me compromise. It doesn't really matter because if he compromises, his life is at stake. But if a soldier compromises, an entire country is at stake. And therefore, a soldier never compromises. A good devotee is like a soldier who doesn't want to compromise between Ravan and Kumbhakarna. So therefore, Vibhishan's thought process is Kumbhakarna is awake only once in 6 months. What's the problem? Let me just tolerate him. When he gets up once in 6 months, then I will just deal with him at that point. But at least 6 months I'm peaceful. As I said, what does Kumbhakarna represents? Kumbhakarna represents pride. That means a sadhaka is thinking, a devotee is thinking, once in 6 months, if I become proud, what's the problem? There's no problem. Once in 6 months, if I become proud, at least the rest of the time, I'm not proud. A good sadhaka never compromises. In fact, when Kumbhakarna gets up once in 6 months, but the day he gets up, he eats everything in one day. What he didn't eat for 6 months, he eats it in one day. When pride arises in a devotee's life, when a pride arises in a sadhaka's life, it may arise once in 6 months. But the day it arises, it destroys, it undoes all that you have gained in 6 months. And therefore, the effort that we have put in sadhana is lost if we allow ahankar to rise. And Vibhishan, what kind of pride he has? He has huge amount of pride. He has a mountain of pride in him. And therefore, the size of, sorry, I'm talking about Kumbhakarna. Therefore, the size of Kumbhakarna is so huge. Why is Kumbhakarna so huge in size? Because that's the size of pride. Pride is so huge that it sleeps obviously for 6 months. But the day it wakes up, it destroys everything that you have gained in 6 months. So when Ravan woke up Kumbhakarna, he woke up Kumbhakarna and half his army was destroyed. And Kumbhakarna was intoxicated with pride. And he gets up and straight goes to the war. So Ravan tells him, please take an army. Kumbhakarna says, I don't need any army. I'm alone enough. All the other demons, Meghnad, Ravan, everyone took armies. But Kumbhakarna went alone to fight. What does it mean? All other vices, all other bad qualities in our life need other bad qualities with them. But pride is one quality, it is so powerful that it doesn't need any other quality. It goes alone. So that means many bad qualities put together is equal to one pride. That's the power of pride. So therefore, and why did Kumbhakarna not want to go with an army? The reason is because he did not want to share credit of victory with anybody else. If he goes with an army, then the other people also can claim that we are responsible for the victory. Therefore, Kumbhakarna says, I'll go alone. And that's the nature of ahankar or pride. So when Kumbhakarna comes to fight in the war, Ram looks at Kumbhakarna and he asks Vibhishan, who is this? Vibhishan says, this mountain-like personality is Kumbhakarna. And therefore, Kumbhakarna is like a mountain. And that's how big pride is. Pride is like a mountain, massive in size. And a person who is proud, he actually thinks that everything he has or she has is based on his own greatness. So when Kumbhakarna came to fight in the war, this massive, huge demon, the monkeys did not wait to find out how to fight with Kumbhakarna. They didn't wait for Vibhishan to tell them how to fight with Kumbhakarna. They were excited and they wanted to attack him. And they, in their excitement, they ran prematurely towards to fight with Kumbhakarna. The monkeys are like sadhakas, devotees like all of us. We get excited very fast. And we don't understand, before we fight with an enemy, we have to first understand how to fight with the enemy. Every enemy has to be fought in a different way. So the monkeys got excited and ran towards Kumbhakarna. They started throwing trees and stones and all kinds of weapons that they had. For Kumbhakarna, who was so huge, the weapons, the stones and the trees and all that of the monkeys, they were like flowers being thrown at him. It didn't matter at all. It didn't make any difference to him. If a sadhaka tries to fight with ahankar based on his own strength, strength of his sadhana, strength of his piety, strength of his punya, he will fail to defeat ahankar. Because you can defeat all other bad qualities with the strength of your sadhana, with the strength of your punya, with the strength of your piety. But you cannot defeat ahankar. You cannot defeat Kumbhakarna with your own strength. Kumbhakarna started eating away the monkeys. He started destroying the monkeys. If Ahankar is awake, it destroys the devotee. It destroys the sadhaka's life. Best is Ahankar is sleeping. But when Ahankar wakes up, it starts destroying. And as the monkeys were fighting against Kumbhakarna and they were all getting destroyed, Sugriv runs towards Kumbhakarna, jumps on him, and somehow reaches the face of Kumbhakarna and cuts off the nose and cuts off the ears of Kumbhakarna. For Kumbhakarna, his weak points are ears and nose. Why is weak point considered? Why is the ear and nose considered to be a weak point? Because for a person who is very proud of himself, pride enters to the ears, and therefore he is known as Kumbha Karna. Karna means ears, and Kumbha means pot. So that means Kumbha Karna technically means somebody who has big ears. Essentially, what is the meaning of somebody who has big ears? It essentially means somebody who loves to hear his own praise. Somebody who loves to hear himself being praised by others. And that is what pride is. And that is what Ahankar actually means. So now Sugriv cuts off the nose and ears of Kumbhakarna and runs away. And somehow he reaches and comes to Lord Ram. Ram now realizes that Kumbhakarna is extremely angry, he is extremely upset, and he is extremely violent. Ram, he tells all the monkeys to go behind him. He tells all the monkeys, step behind, and Ram steps ahead. So all the sadhakas are behind, and God is in the front. All your sadhana is behind, and God is in the front. Ram is in the front. This is the way to defeat Ahankar. This is the way to defeat pride. If you put sadhana in the front, if you put your sadhana in the front, Ahankar will increase. A lot of people who do great sadhana and they actually give great credit to their own sadhana, they actually feel more proud. Their pride only enhances, their pride only increases. So, how do you deal with Ahankar? How do you decrease Ahankar? How do you defeat Ahankar? The way to defeat Ahankar is put your sadhana behind and let Ram be in front of you, Lord Ram, and allow Lord Ram to fight with Kumbhakarna. The interesting thing in the Ramayana is that the Ramayana has some very amazing thought processes, some very amazing depths in different aspects. Like, for example, one of the things that the Ramayana talks about is names of personalities. Every person in the Ramayana has a name which is associated with his intrinsic character. Like, for example, Sugriva means the one whose neck is beautiful. Griva means neck, and Sugriva means the one whose neck is beautiful. Now, are connected with body organs. Like Kumbhakarna is connected to the ears. Shurpanakha is connected with nails. Now, why are these names connected with body organs? Because there is an underlying significance in their name and their character. Kumbhakarna is Ahankar personified. He is personification of pride. And naturally, a proud person is centered on hearing, ears. The most important organ of a proud person is ears. Because a proud person is constantly hearing, waiting to hear praise about himself. A proud person is constantly anxious to hear his own praise. For a proud person, his intoxicant is not alcohol. His intoxicant is not liquor. A proud person's intoxicant is hearing praise. Every human being has only two desires. The first desire is how to get more things from others. And the second desire is how to hear praise from others. Even those who do not have any material desires, even those who do not have any of the first desire of getting things from others, they still cannot give up the second desire of hearing praise from others. Even the person who has sacrificed unlimited, he still wants to be known as a person who is a tyagi, who is a renunciant. The desire to be called a great renunciant is also a desire. And that's the desire for hearing praise. And therefore, with Kumbhakarna, his ears are the most important thing. His ears are his essence. And ultimately, his ears are the cause of his destruction. At one point, Lord Ram asks Lakshman, "You are such a powerful warrior. You are one of the most powerful warriors in this whole army. You have even fought with Ravan. You have killed Meghna. You have killed so many powerful people. Once you went to fight against Kumbhakarna." So Ram asks him, "Why did you never go to fight with Kumbhakarna?" And Lakshman gives a very beautiful answer. Lakshman says, "My dear Lord, I can fight with all other faults on my own. But there's only one fault that I can't deal on my own, that is pride. And pride is something only you can defeat. And therefore, pride is beyond me. Kumbhakarna is beyond me. Therefore, I have left Kumbhakarna for you to destroy." So now, when I said that Sugriv cut off the ears of Kumbhakarna, what does it mean? Sugriv, by cutting out the ears of Kumbhakarna and the nose of Kumbhakarna, he attacked at the center of pride. The center of pride is ears and nose. Why nose? It is said that a person who has big ego, his nose is big. Essentially, what does it mean that nose is big? Nose essentially is representation of the ego, the false ego. And therefore, the great devotees of the Lord, the great sages would often say, if one wants to conquer pride, one should cut off one's nose. What is the meaning of cut off one's nose? Cut off one's nose doesn't mean physically cut off the nose. But cut off one's nose means cut off the pride that you are the doer. When we say in Hindi, naak kat gaya. What is the meaning of naak kat gaya? Naak kat gaya doesn't mean that your nose is cut physically. Naak kat gaya essentially means that my pride is destroyed. The pride of the family is destroyed. The pride of a person is destroyed. That's what defaming is all about. Therefore, the nose and the ears are both connected with pride. And when Sugriv cut off the ears and the nose of Kumbhakarna, he became really angry because he attacked at the source of his pride, at the center of his pride. And he runs and with great enthusiasm starts attacking. And when Kumbhakarna comes to attack Lord Ram, the first thing Ram does is covers his mouth with arrows. He shoots a volley of arrows and covers the mouth of Kumbhakarna, fills it with arrows. When a proud person, his ears are cut off, what does it mean? When a proud person, he is not able to hear his own praise, one of the things that a proud person does, he starts praising himself with his mouth. He starts speaking his own praise. So Ram, he knew this man's ears are cut off. Now he's going to start speaking his own greatness with his mouth. And therefore, first only Ram filled his mouth with arrows. And now Kumbhakarna can't even speak about his own greatness. And then Ram cuts off the hands of Kumbhakarna. The hands represent me and you of the ego. It represents the ability to gather things, the ability to hold things, the ability to hold things in life. And therefore, the way Ram dealt with pride is the way all of us need to deal with pride. And the way the monkeys went and hid behind Lord Ram, similarly, all of us should put all our sadhana behind Lord Ram and allow the Lord to attack pride, deal with pride. We don't have the capacity to deal with pride. Let God deal with pride. Now, the second person that we need to speak about is Shurpanaka. We spoke about Kumbhakarna. Now we're going to speak about Shurpanaka. So now we are very careful not to hurt any organ of our body. We're very careful not to hurt our eyes. We're very careful not to hurt our ears, our mouth, our tongue, any limbs of our body. But there's only one organ that we voluntarily cut off, and that is the nails. Lust and desires in life are like nails. Nails are useful, but they need to be at a limit. When they grow too long, they actually become destructive. We cut them using instruments. Similarly, desires and lust have to be at a certain limit. They should be trimmed using the scissors of discrimination and detachment. Shurpanaka never believed in cutting nails. She let the nails grow unlimitedly. That means for her, as far as desires are concerned, there is no limit of how much you can have desires. And she accepted no limits on desires. And therefore, whichever direction her desires took her, she just went. She saw Ram, she liked him. She started, she proposed to Ram saying that I want to marry you. Ram said, I am already married. Why did you marry Lakshman? Shurpanaka immediately went to Lakshman and she said, I want to marry you. And then Lakshman said, I am a servant of Ram and Sita. If you marry me, then you will have to assist me in serving them. Why didn't you marry Ram only? Shurpanaka said, you're right. She went back again to Ram. So that means Shurpanaka is somebody who does not cut nails. What is the meaning of does not cut nails? It essentially means she doesn't trim her desires. She doesn't limit her desires. She doesn't use the scissors of the nail cutters of discrimination and detachment to keep her desires in check. And therefore, somebody whose desires are so huge, that person usually also ends up being a very proud person. Now, compared to Shurpanaka and Kumbhakarna, let us discuss a third person in the Ramayana who is also named after a body organ. Kumbhakarna is named after the ears, Shurpanaka is named after nails, and Sugriv, the third person in the Ramayana, is named after Griva, which means neck. Now, what is the meaning of Sugriva? In the Ramayana, we find Sugriv means neck. It indicates his humility. A humble person stands with his neck bent. When you stand in front of Guru, stand in front of great masters, great devotees of the Lord, your neck should always be bent in humility. Somebody who stands proud with his head up in the air, with great pride in front of great teachers, great spiritual teachers, such a person cannot gain knowledge. A person always becomes proud after winning, but one who remains humble after winning is considered to be truly victorious. And therefore, in the scriptures, whenever blessings are given, in the Vedic times, whenever blessings are given, it would always be said, Vijayi Vinayi Bhava. Vijayi Bhava means may you be victorious. Vinayi Bhava means along with being victorious, may you remain humble. And therefore, in the Ramayana, we find at one point, Lakshman has a doubt. And he asks Lord Ram a question. He says, why did you become friends with Sugriv? Why did you choose him instead of Vali? Technically, if you see, it's a very good question. Because Vali is more powerful than Sugriv. Vali is already the king of Kishkinda. And Vali already had defeated Ravan at one point in his life. So logically, if you see, Ram should have chosen Vali if he wanted to defeat Ravan and if he wanted to get back Sita. But why did Ram not choose Vali and instead chose Sugriv to help him with the mission of finding Sita and defeating Ravan? So Lakshman asks this question to Ram. And Ram, he gives an amazing answer. He gives at least 7 or 8 reasons why he chose Sugriv over Vali. And if you study these 7 or 8 reasons that Ram is giving, which we're going to discuss at this point, it's amazing how much depth, how much thought, how much insights are there in the Ramayana. Apparently, we just read the story of the Ramayana as if it's a story. But we don't stop and ponder on these deeper insights in the Ramayana that could actually help us learn so much about our own lives. When we're making our own choices, when we are making decisions in our lives, let us learn the way Ram thinks. Let us learn from the way Ram is seeing situations and events and people. And that's when we can actually find Ramayana in us. That's when Ramayana becomes relevant to us. When Lakshman asks this question, Ram starts laughing. And he tells Lakshman, you think Sugriv is weak and Vali is strong? Let me explain how, in my understanding, Sugriv is strong and Vali is weak. And Ram completely, shows Lakshman the other side of Sugriv, which he unfortunately had not seen. So many of us, when we look at people, we only see one side of them, but we don't see the other side of them. Only when we have vision like Lord Ram, we can see the other side of people also. So he asks, Ram is telling Lakshman, do you remember that Sugriv ran at such a speed that Vali could not catch him? Lakshman says, yes, of course. Sugriv ran all over the world when Vali was chasing him, and Vali could not catch him. So Ram says, this means that Vali is stronger, but Sugriv is faster. Sugriv is so fast that Vali could not catch him. And this is a great skill. To run so fast that pride cannot catch you. Vali represents pride. Just like Kumbhakarna also represents pride. Vali also was a very proud person. Vali was also a ahankari. And therefore, from Ram's perspective, Sugriv was running at great speed from Vali, but what was he actually running away from? He was actually running away from pride. So Ram says, according to me, nothing is more important than that. The ability to run so fast that pride cannot catch you. For Ram, external strength doesn't matter. Why external strength doesn't matter? Because he is the source of strength of everyone. And therefore, when Ram looks at people, when he chooses people, he doesn't choose people who are externally powerful, who are externally strong. He chooses people who are internally strong. He chooses people who run away from pride. And then Ram continues. So this is the first reason Ram gives why he chose Sugriv. Because he could run so fast that pride cannot catch him. And the second reason Ram said is, Sugriv, he is also very good at finding out things. Do you remember? He found out where Vali cannot go. He found out that Rishimukha mountain is a place where Vali cannot step also. Why? Because Matanga Rishi had given a curse that if Vali enters the Rishimukha mountain, he will die. So Sugriv is so resourceful that he can find out different things. So at this point, what is my need? My need is someone who can find out where Sugriv is. As far as finding out my need is someone who can find out where Sita is. As far as finding out where Sita is, there is no better person than Sugriv because he can find out things. And the third reason Ram gives is a very interesting reason. When Vali had gone to fight against this demon named the Mayavi, he enters into a cave. Mayavi enters into a huge, deep cave, and Vali jumps into the cave along with Mayavi. Before jumping in, he tells Sugriv, don't come with me, I'll go alone. And this is the nature of Vali and Kumbhakarna. Both of them prefer going alone to fight. Why they prefer going alone to fight? Because they want the complete credit of the fight, of the victory, to go only to them. And therefore, the egoistic person doesn't want to share credit with others. And therefore, Vali, he went alone into the cave. Imagine if Vali had gone along with Sugriv into the cave, he would have easily defeated Mayavi and much before. But Vali didn't want to share credit. Therefore, Ram is telling Lakshman, this is the third reason why I chose Sugriv over Vali. Because Sugriv is a team person. Vali works alone. So Sugriv works with people. It is important when we go out on any mission, we need to work with people. If you are a loner, and if you are powerful and a loner, you can achieve great things. But you cannot achieve beyond a certain point. If you have a big dream, then you need to have a team that is much bigger than your dream. You alone cannot achieve greatness. And therefore, Ram preferred Sugriv, who can work with people, over Vali, who preferred to be a loner. And then the fourth reason Ram gave why he chose Sugriv is a very interesting aspect of Sugriv that Ram liked. The interesting aspect of Sugriv that Ram liked was that he knows his capacity and he knows his limitations. This is a big achievement. And for any person who knows his capacity and his limitations, he knows his capabilities and his incapabilities, such a person is a very good choice. We have to be aware of our capability, or at the same time, we need to be aware of our limitations. So Vali, he was very much proud of his own capacities, and he never thought about his limitations. And Sugriv was someone who was very open with his limitations. Sugriv was very open that I am weaker than Vali. Sugriv was very open that I cannot defeat Vali on my own. So that, and interestingly, Sugriv was open in front of God. Sugriv was open in front of the devotees of God. The biggest problem in our life is that we are not open about our weaknesses in front of God and in front of the devotees of God. The, the less we open up our capacities, the less we open up our weaknesses, the less we are open about our limitations, the less we get help. The more we are open about our limitations, the more we are open about our incapabilities, the more the Lord becomes ecstatic. God is not ecstatic when we tell Him about our capacities. God is not ecstatic when we tell Him about our greatness. God is ecstatic when we tell Him about what we can't do. And when we tell Him how weak we are, how vulnerable we are, how incapable we are, how we need help. Sugri was not just open to Ram, he was not just open to God about his weaknesses, he was open to Hanuman about his weaknesses, he was open to the other Vanaras about his weaknesses. Imagine, Sugri is a leader, he is one of the biggest leaders in the Kishkinda area, but at the same time, though he is a leader, though he is powerful, though he is great, though he has a position, he is open, honest about his vulnerabilities and about his incapacities. And that's why Ram chose Sugriv. And then Ram gives some other reason, the fifth reason why he chose Sugriv. When Sugriv loses with Vali and returns back, Ram puts a garland around him. And Lakshmana asks Ram, why are you garlanding a loser? Ram says, although Sugriv has lost everything, he has lost his wealth, he has lost his wife, he has lost his respect, there is one thing that he has not lost. And that one thing that he has not lost is Hanuman. Hanuman is faith personified. He's a personification of faith. If somebody has lost everything, it doesn't matter. But if that person has not lost his faith, he has lost nothing. If somebody has lost everything, wealth, money, family, resources, position, kingdoms, everything is gone. It doesn't matter. The one thing that that person should not lose is faith. If you have lost everything and you still have faith on your faith, then you have everything. And Ram told Lakshman, this is Sugriv's greatest asset. Sugriv's greatest asset is that he has Hanuman with him. He has his faith intact. Anybody who has his faith intact, even if he has lost everything, he will get back everything. The sixth reason Ram gives why he chose Sugriv is also a very interesting reason. So Ram says Sugriv is simple-hearted. And because he is in the association of saintly people like Hanuman, the simplicity of the heart is so visible. The interesting thing is, what is simplicity? Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada in his books, defines what simplicity is. He says simplicity means no duplicity. And what can be the biggest proof of Sugriva's simplicity? The biggest proof of Sugriva's simplicity is that from the beginning of his connection with Lord Ram, he spoke about his failures. He spoke about his weakness, his character of knowing his incapability, and his constant association with Hanumanji has made him superior. And Ram tells Lakshman, this simplicity of Sugriv is what attracted me towards him. And the seventh quality of Sugriv that attracted Ram towards him, and why Ram chose Sugriv, is a very interesting quality also. So Sugriv is residing in the Rishimukha mountains. Rishimukha mountain is a place where Vali cannot enter. What is Rishimukha mountain? Rishimukha mountain represents a place where you come for satsang, a place where you come to associate with devotees, where you are sitting quietly, where you are sitting in the association of devotees and hearing Hari Katha. That is a place that Vali cannot come, which is the place that is free from pride. If you want to know any place in this world that is free from pride, the place which is free from pride is a place where constantly Hari Katha is going on. Rishimukha mountain represents that place. Rishimukha mountain represents a place where Vali cannot come. And the interesting thing Ram speaks is not just Sugriva is sitting in the Rishimukha mountain, he's sitting in a place where Vali cannot come, but along with that, along with satsang, along with sitting in a place where Vali cannot come, where pride cannot come, Sugriv also has great fear of Vali. What is the meaning of great fear of Vali? Having great fear of Vali essentially means he fears pride. A good devotee is somebody who should have fear of pride. And unless and until someone has fear of pride, such a person can never learn anything, can never understand anything. And therefore, here Ram is saying, I chose Sugriv because so many reasons that Sugriv has and so many good qualities that Sugriv have. And because of all these good qualities, and finally, the most important quality, the last quality that Ram chose Sugriv is because Hanuman got Ram to Sugriv. Now, yesterday I spoke this point very briefly when I said that Ram asks Hanuman, ideally, a patient should come to the doctor, a devotee should come to God. But in this case, you're telling me that I should go to Sugriv. Why doesn't he come to me? Hanumanji tells Lord Ram, my dear Lord, if he was capable, he could have come to you. But one who is incapable, you have to go to him. For those who are capable, they go to God. But for those who are incapable, God goes to them. Jatayu was dying in the laps of Lord Ram. And while he was dying in the laps of Lord Ram, he actually said, I am so fortunate that I lost my wings. So Lord Ram is wondering, how is he fortunate that he lost his wings? Jatayu says, if I had wings, then I would have to go to you. But because now I don't have any wings, you have come to me. And what does wings represent? Wings represents our abilities. If we know of our lack of abilities, then God himself comes to you and takes you on his lap. Jatayu was incapable. He was unable. And therefore Ram came to him and took Jatayu on his laps. And similarly, Sugriv is full of deficiencies, full of weaknesses that he presents to Hanumanji. And therefore Hanumanji, being such a saintly person, he realizes that this person is incapable. And because he is incapable, such a person needs to come, God comes to such a person. Hanumanji requests Lord Ram, my dear Lord, This person is totally incapable. He cannot come to you. You please go to him. And the Lord decides to go to him simply because not just that he is incapable, but he's also aware that he is incapable. And when somebody is aware that he's incapable, such a person has more access to the Lord. And such a person, the Lord is ecstatic to go towards such a person. This, in a sense, tells us how all of us are like supreme in our lives. All the characters that we just discussed today, all these characters are present in us. We have a Sugreen in us, we have a Vali in us, we have Kumbhakarna in us, we have Ravan in us, we have Shurpanaka in us, we have Lakshman in us, we have Hanuman in us, we have Lord Ram in us. All the qualities that Ramayana talks about are all the qualities that we also have in us, but to a limited extent. And therefore, when we hear the Ramayana and the stories of the Ramayana, we hear about the analysis of these different stories of the Ramayana, we realize that there is so much that we can learn from the Ramayana. There is so much that we can learn that can improve the quality of our life, the quality of our devotion, the quality of our sadhana, the quality of our connection with God. I am very, very grateful to all of you for taking out your valuable time to be here with us on today evening again on the second day. I will stop my lecture at this point, but obviously I will take some question answers now for a few minutes and then we'll end. So I'm just going to pick up 2 or 3 questions today and probably we'll take the rest another time. Is there any specific question that somebody has? If you could type immediately. So there are no questions, I guess, at this point. So we will end our lecture here. I'm very, very grateful to all of you for your patient listening. Tomorrow is going to be the last day in these 3 sessions that we had organized. Tomorrow we're going to do a very, very interesting topic, which will be shared with you all on the groups tomorrow morning. I would highly recommend all of you to please attend tomorrow's session and gain from the insights in the Ramayana. I would also like to share with you all one more thing. All of y'all on the groups would have got the link of today's lecture. That link is going to be active even beyond today's session. So that means that link, if you click on it, you can go back and revisit today's session and rehear today's session again. And beyond today, if somebody else would like to join in, you will need the link. So you can highly recommend all your friends and family members to please join us and hear these sessions on Ramkatha. And I also highly recommend all of you to inspire others to hear Ramayana in such traumatic times when nothing else is possible. Ramayana is possible. And in fact, the Indian government is so kind enough to relay the entire Ramayana on the national television, which also shows how much important Ramayana is to the nation. So hopefully today, whatever we heard is going to help all of you in your personal lives and your personal journeys. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.